Okay, so welcome back. So we're going to go through assignment 2 now. Same as last time, basically just going to power through it, and you can kind of refer back. I might make some comments along the way that might be missed in the notes. So we're going from chase the button to runner. So I think it's the obvious follow-up to the idea of having something jump randomly around the screen. Is there a way for us to control it? To do that, we'll want to make sure we sort of got these key points out of the last section. Now you may not follow it entirely, but hopefully what you figured out was that the button was jumping randomly, and that this sort of equation here, int rnd times a number plus 1, helps determine how far or what the random values are that we're going to get. And so in this case, we're saying set the left side of my button, so dot left means the left side of the button. Button test, of course, was the name of the button, to be some random number in the range 1 to 900. Set the top part of the button to be some random number in the range 1 to 600. And of course that just allowed your button to jump around. Similarly, and it was probably more obvious here, when we dealt with the choice part, we're getting a random number between 1 and 3, and then based on that number, different little messages were showing up on our buttons. Okay, so what we need to take from there is this is what we'll use when we're looking for random numbers. And as long as they're simple numbers, like the roll of the dice would be 1 to 6. If it's a number between 1 and 100, this is 1 and 100. You'll basically use that equation exactly as written. The keys, and we'll see it a little bit more later on, this number is the number of choices I have. And this is the smallest possible value. So if I were to change this to say plus 100, we would get the numbers 100, 101, 102, and so on, and they would go up to 1,000. So 100 plus 900 would give me 900 different possibilities. The smallest one would be 100. The biggest one would be, actually I guess it would be 999. The second key here is this button test.left establishes where my left side is going to be. Button test.top establishes where the top will be. And so if we're looking to control an object as it moves around the screen, those will be the values we're interested in. And just a quick note on that, there is no such thing as button test.right or button test.bottom, because if I move the left side of something, the right moves automatically, and so we don't allow for the two of them to be changed. It's just change the left, change the top, and then you could change the width and height as well. But again, that would be a sort of a different situation. Looking at the instructions, we need to start a new project, add a picture box, called it Pick Hero, and then add an image from the internet into that box. So let's go through that picture box here. Going to change the name to Pick Hero. And then the instructions, I'm going to actually pull the instructions onto the other page so I don't have to keep flipping back and forth. And the instructions say, click on this arrow, going to choose my image, and basically find the image now wherever it happens to be. Mine was in downloads. And I'll click OK. Now, in going through what it says next, most likely your entire picture will not show up, so we need to stretch the image. To fix this, change the size mode. Okay, so size mode right here from being normal to being stretched. And then of course, probably want to resize it so that it's looking like the original image should. Now double click on the form, and what you see is form load initially. We're interested in form key down. So if I click up here, I should be able to find key down on my list. Okay, so these are, and again, these terms will become more evident as we go. These are where the objects are. So the form would be here. If I had other objects that I could work with, they would show up there, like Pick Hero. Over here is the list of events, the different things that I can do with the form. I can do something when the form loads. I can do something when the key is pressed or when the key is down. These are a little different. For now, we'll stick with the key down because the key down also allows for something to happen when key up. So key pressed and key down, to be honest, I don't remember exactly what the differences are, except the key down, key up kind of work nicely together. And key down is the one that works as written in the assignment. And then you can see there are a whole bunch of other choices, most of which you'll never really look at, but are there. Mouse hover, mouse enter. You'll see some of these today and into the next few days. So key down, and I'm just going to remove this one so I don't confuse them. I'm interested in dealing with something when the key is pressed down. And so as I'm going through, it says, as we saw in Chase the Button, the program top and left, and kind of discusses things we've already seen. And it says to type in, see if this copies nicely, type in this. And now what that says, I don't know if I can zoom here, I can, beautiful. Pick hero left equals pick hero left minus 50. Okay, so what sort of, if we read this through, it's saying essentially, make the left side of my hero equal to whatever it currently is minus 50. So run the program, press the key, we'll see what happens. And so here's my picture. I'm pressing a key, pressing key, pressing key, and we see that the object is moving towards the left. Okay, so essentially what I need to know from that, or what I get from that, is that when my left side decreases, I move left across the screen. It turns out that 0, 0 is up here in the top left corner. So similarly, if I had top here and top here, and this is the sort of thing you can kind of try too. What happens if I have top here and top here instead? And of course, when you push a button, it just moves up instead. Okay, so now that we've run the program, it says, albeit interesting, not very valuable, because the same thing is happening regardless of the key I press. And then the rest of the assignment sort of suggests, let's take a look and see if we can do something more with it. And the next part, number 11 here on the page, says, enter the command msgbox ecode, or e.keycode. Okay, so it's a little strange, but again, we'll do it. And what happens now is, when I press a key, I get a message. So I pressed my up arrow and I see the number 38. I press my G and I see the value 71. And so this is the computer's way of identifying the different keys that are pressed. And that will allow me to then make decisions about, depending on what that E key code value is, my hero should move left, right, up, down. Now sort of just going to finish up here. It says put a single quote in front of the message box line. What that does is it tells the computer to essentially ignore this. This is called a comment now. And so it's there. I can use it if I want to sort of bring it back. It's pretty quick and easy to do. But the computer will ignore it when it runs. Okay, so I don't get that annoying message box as I type different keys. And now basically I'm going to make use of that and the fact that we saw before, the if statement allows us to make decisions. And we're going to try to write the code to have this thing only happen when the left arrow is pressed. And so a little hint is basically if that E key code is equal to a certain value. And now I would have ignored these for now, although I think they probably work just fine. For our purposes, I'd say using that number you saw from the E key code is just as easy. And basically whatever that magic number is, you type in there. We know that the if statement has a then. And basically, this is the stuff that should happen when that specific value is pressed. Now again, 4455 is not the right number, but once you know what that right number is for the left arrow, plug it in, and that should ensure that your hero only moves left when you're pressing the left arrow. The rest of the assignment is, of course, having it, sort of add the other statements in you need to get the object moving correctly around the screen.